This is a 2018 Chevrolet Equinox, a two-row mid-sized crossover in a segment otherwise known as the volume seller bread and butter of every major automaker.
When you're in a segment as competitive as this, where you're up against the likes of Toyota RAV4s, Hyundai Tucsons, Honda CR-Vs, and Ford Escapes, you generally build a car and design a car based off of a spec sheet. Essentially, what are competitors offering and what do I need to offer to stay relevant and comparable? So if you were to compare this car on a spec sheet with its competitors, it's going to be very similar in terms of cargo space, its technology, and features and finishes. What I want to understand is actually how it's like to live with, how it's like to spend time in, and how it drives. So let's start off with the interior. First of all, the interior, based off of photos and videos, has built a very good first impression. It's a very bold design. The first thing we notice is the use of this tan/caramel leather that's draped in the seats, the doors, and the front dash. I quite like this design. I'm surprised that more car makers aren't doing the same. It's such a refreshing look to see something that isn't just a no contrast, one-tone black leather throughout the entire interior. And with this light tone leather in the interior, the entire interior cabin actually feels more spacious, feels more airy and fresher. The issue though is once you actually spend a little bit more time and get to know your Equinox, what you realize is that this leather trim actually acts as a facade or a fascia to hide the economy box bare bones interior that it is. It's more plastic pieces throughout the entire dash if you look past the leather trim. And very quickly you realize that the interior isn't actually as special and doesn't feel or touch as special as it appears to be. And for a very lame analogy, it almost feels like you're Febrezing your dorm room. It's sort of a nice pleasant hit at the beginning, but you quickly realize what's behind it, what's seeping behind it, and it's less pleasant, it's less flattering. I also want to talk about the seats and the ride comfort of this car, and to do that we kind of need to start up the jewel of this Equinox. This is the top of the line Equinox Premier, which MSRP is at $34,000, and after a few options and upgrades, this specific tester actually checks out at $43,000, which is quite a lot of money. But what you get with this Premier model is an interesting 1.6 liter turbo diesel. Now, I'm no expert with diesels, but what do we know about them so far? First of all, they output a healthy amount of low-end torque. They are relatively fuel efficient, but what you do need to compromise with is the overall NVH of the cabin and resulting from the engine, which is noise, vibration, and harshness. Let's start it up and let me know what you think. So we get to try out the driving dynamics of this car, and it's not great weather right now, so we do get the luxury of trying out the all-wheel drive system, which I am engaging right now up this small uphill. And so far, within my week's ownership of the Equinox, I haven't had to use the all-wheel drive often, and that actually brings me to a very good point, or a good feature about this car, is you can actually toggle on and off the all-wheel drive system of this car, which obviously means you can save on a little bit of fuel if you don't need its capabilities. Now, I'm not sure if you've noticed already, but it is quite loud in the cabin. I'm not sure if there's any noise deadening of this interior cabin, or whether the engine is just so overpowering, but you can probably tell it's not necessarily a pleasant noise, nor is it a pleasant feeling in this cabin, because there is quite a lot of vibration and shake, and we're just going up a slight incline at 20 kilometers an hour. So what do we know about diesel engines? We know that there's typically a window within the RPM with a wealth of torque, and it's typically smooth, low-end torque. The torque window that you're looking for is right around 2200 to 3000 RPM, and that's where you get a good wave of torque that I've been actually using constantly for my commutes. I basically just leave it within that window and it takes care of itself. You don't really want to be anywhere below or above that RPM range. It's quite coarse, it's very loud, it's very unpleasant to be in, and you don't get a lot of speed. You really do need to be within that sweet spot, and the great thing about being in that sweet spot is that seems to be the only window of RPM where the engine is actually slightly smoother. It feels a little bit more at peace. Everywhere else, it's just upset that it's there. It's like, why are you driving me beyond 3,000 RPM? It's not made to do this. And there's really no reason to drive beyond 3,000 RPM because there's really no power there either. And the overall coarse or raw aspect of the engine actually does translate in the cabin as well, unfortunately. As you can tell probably from the camera shake, the ride is incredibly busy. So we're on kind of not great roads right now, Canadian winters, and perhaps that accounts for it, but you can feel every undulation on the road. And I don't just mean, for example, cracks and potholes. I mean just small bumps on the road. You can feel it. It almost feels like, kind of gross analogy, but it almost feels like you're driving over top of a face of acne. It's that busy. It's definitely not soothing or compliant by any means. I'm just not convinced that this is a $43,000 car. In general, this entire car as a package actually just feels raw and coarse, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. I can't knock it for being essentially a workhorse that is very traditional in a sense, but in terms of the price that you're paying compared to how you feel inside the cabin is a little bit misaligned. I don't feel like I'm getting my money's worth, and perhaps there are better options.
There are definite compromises with the driving experience, but the diesel engine that causes much of the compromise also manages to appoint a distinguished charm to the Equinox. An optimist sees the stubborn nostalgia instilled in this age-old recipe, and an effective recipe indeed. I returned a 8.8 liters per 100 kilometers in the dead of winter, but even then I'm still hesitant to chuck up a premium for such an experience. I'm sure there's still a market for a crossover like this. However, in the context of 2018, this market must be dwindling. Even more so when you're considering the day-by-day advancements in the world of hybridization and electrification. Amongst the new waves of technology and regulations, let alone the corporate scandals, the days of diesel are at its twilight. The diehards should snatch theirs up while they still can.